Hello world, welcome to my channel, Proteus Augustus. I'm an artist, scientist, and American Constitutionist. Today is March 8th, 2021. A lot of things have happened just in one day, but I'm not going to talk about it. Suffice it to say, there's really a lot of activity going on around here. Right? And I'll probably expose some of that in the coming months when all you have to do is get out of your house, people, right? And travel and walk the streets, right? That's all you got to do. That's all you got to do. And you're going to see stuff that is disturbing to you, right? And people are going to press you. I mean, that's the only way some of you people can learn, is to really go out there and just try to walk the street. That's all I'm saying. Just try to walk the street. Anyways, I just wanted to talk a little bit about, I don't really talk about this much, and I really never told anybody. I didn't really reveal this until last year to a couple of people that don't believe it, but I'm a self-critical person, right? I think I'm a reasonable person, but I can't have my will twisted, regardless of how desperate or how much pain, right? I'm just a different animal altogether. It's my nature. That's where my toughness comes in, because other people cannot tolerate what I can, right? Emotionally and physically. The other thing is surprises, right? Don't like surprises. When I start catching wind, some people, let me give you an example, right? I don't know if any of you have ever fought dogs before, right? But I've fought dogs a lot of times when I was a kid growing up and stuff, right? When you're out there walking, like I said, take a walk down the street. Even if, but anyways, if you really want to know how to get to the pack, right, to find the alpha, the betas are always going to look for instruction. The alpha's going to stand in front of you, all right, or, the betas will come out first, and they'll look, right? That's how they communicate, with their eyeballs. So once you know who the beta dog is, it's easy to get him off of you, because if you distract the alpha, he got no reinforcement, right? So then you're dealt with the alpha, right? And if you dispatch the alpha, then it's game over. You know what I'm saying? Anyways, I'll get back to this analogy in a second. My throat's getting dry. I gotta get soda. Okay, I'm back. So if you want to get into the pack, it's the same thing with people. Some people say my condition, I can't recognize, facial expression. Right? That's not what it is. I recognize what it's supposed to mean. I don't trust it. That's a different thing altogether, right? And sometimes, there's other things going on there that I'm not going to get into, maybe later, but, so people, are always looking for instruction. They always reveal themselves, right? So, like, let's say, it's the same thing as the dog analogy. The betas will come out first, right? Because the persons that are in control of things, right, are really giving the instructions to the subordinates, right? So the subordinates or whoever the person may be, okay, is really up front, right? But you want to get to the alpha, right? So, you could do the same thing. They play the same game they play, right? Take their temperature a little bit. Somebody talks out of turn, you're not even addressing them. And they're saying shit to you and they're getting aggressive with you, right? What's the point behind that? Well, the alpha dog wants to see how I'm going to respond, apparently, right? But, that's just ridiculous because, let me do that to you. Let me get some dudes together and we could track your ass down. Right? We could make your life very difficult. I mean, I'm very straight up with people. I don't like people that are trying to manipulate the situation behind my back. And even if I put a few facts together that ain't exactly, I make mistakes like everybody else, I don't act on anything unless I'm sure about what the situation is. But, also there's risk adversity. Why even bother with a person or something, that does not appear to be what it should be? Let me give you another example. You can see this in the movies too, right? So it's not really a big secret, but spycraft. If you put out a signal, other people will put out false responses, right? Right, so they're trying to see if you're going to respond to the false response. So, really what you do, you have to stay on that question, right? Until that question is answered properly. If it's not answered properly, you got to be risk adverse. You cannot respond to a false, you get what I'm saying, right? So, it surprises to a person like me. I can see when people are communicating, it doesn't mean that I know exactly what they're doing, but I can tell when people are focused on me, right? The way they look, the proximity they take with me, right? I don't have to allow anybody to press my flesh. I'm a free American citizen, right? As far as I'm concerned, every citizen has a 3-foot bubble around them. People should not. Now, in the cities, the thing is, you get on the subway, you consent to that. I won't go on, I was on the subways and stuff too, I had no choice in the old days. But now the way things are getting, it's not just the COVID, it's these other radical people attacking people. And, it's not fair to put a man like me in that position anymore. To allow these radical females and other persons that belong to these little political organizations to assault the public, basically. And citizens have a right to protect themselves from that. The so-called people that we give, the privilege to do these ministerial duties, notwithstanding, they don't have the right to tell us that we don't have a right to defend ourselves and then take and defang us and let us be victims, or have to fight through more adverse situation, right? At least, if you let people know you're strapping or whatever, that's something for them to contemplate. Right? And they should take that seriously. That's the whole point. It's a deterrent first. It's not something that a person would use, aggressively unless, you're a criminal or whatever the case may be, obviously. But I'm just saying, a reasonable person, right? It's not going to go to that level unless it's absolutely necessary. That requires some training, right? Requires a certain person. Now, I've said before that I didn't think female cops should be, that like patrol officers, women that are dealing with miscreants in the street and shit, they shouldn't be employed in that position because they are going to feel threatened much sooner, right? That doesn't mean there isn't other positions that they could do, right? But when you're confronting the public, you shouldn't have to go through that lethal force so quickly, right? Now, that doesn't mean that a regular woman on the street, that's a totally different situation. She's not regularly putting herself in these situations that, that she is not physically capable of handling due to her profession. She's just a regular woman going down the street. And if some dude, listen, let him have it. That's different, because you're not employed to put yourself in those situations, right? We employ people to put themselves in those situations, and they should have a, that's why I stand by the fact that's why Floyd got killed, because that guy's arms were really narrow, man. He's using his legs on people. He probably did it before. And it's just saying, it's like he's a woman, really. I'm not trying to, it is what it is, right? You should have people that are not going to be, that can at least handle some physical, force or whatever you want to call it, right? Anyways, the other thing is pretending, right? What you see is what you get, basically. I might misdirect people or whatever, but I don't play pretend. If I tell you what I'm saying, that's the best of what I know and what I'm trying to communicate to you, right? So nobody needs to go behind my back. There's no benefit to that, right? Other than to con me, right? So that's another reason why I don't like surprises, because to me it's a con job, just like pretending. And I don't like clowns either. I don't like Halloween. All of these kind of pretend things to me are deception. It's hard to explain, right? But it's not comfortable for me, right? So, if a woman was interested in me, I don't think anybody really knows what they want at this point, but, I tell them what I want, right? I'm not hiding it, and if I don't say anything, that means I got nothing to say. I'm just trying to get to know you or whatever, right? I don't see why that's so confusing to today's women. I really don't understand it, So, there's no reason for any woman to want to surprise me or anything, right? Or any other person for that matter. That's why, like, when dudes come up and try to talk to me, I give no indication whatsoever I want to talk to anybody, right? I'm in my own, like I said before, I'm in my head most of the time. So, thinking about stuff, trying to do, it's just who I am, right? So, excuse me for a second. Okay, I'm back. I think the biggest thing that I learned over the years, that, may make some people apprehensive is the fact that I don't have a filter. If somebody asks my opinion, I'm going to give it to them. I'm not going to tell them what I think is going to make them feel good. I don't operate on that principle. I do not operate on the pain or pleasure principle. See? That's why people, no matter how much stress they give me, they're only hurting me. It's not going to give the result that they may want. or what likely outcome they think that the average person would exhibit, right? I don't work on that. I work on what's good for my soul, right? I try to be a good person. But other people, they don't act like that, right? And it took me a long time to realize that most people are living a fantasy. I mean, that's the way I see it. They don't see it that way. It's like a colloquial engagement that people assent to, certain looks or certain gestures, certain postures that are taken, certain words, right? And that's, to me, that's where the difficulty comes in. Like I said, it's very hard to trust those kinds of non-verbal communications, right? It's different when you learn to trust a person and you understand how they're communicating with you. It's like a cat, right? A lot of people don't understand cats. Cats communicate through their eyes. Once you establish, like Moby, right? He had got, I rescued him and Curly, and Moby had the feline age, right? And he had gotten attacked. He had a scar on his side. Well, it took almost 2 years before that cat would let me touch his stomach. Right? That's how traumatized he was in his mind. But the only way I could get over that is to get into his mind. So he could understand that there's no fear as long as he's with me, right? And there's techniques you can use to get into a cat's mind, and it's through their eyes. You get their attention, right? And you reinforce it. So, anyways, he developed a trust over time, and he realized that, I was his protector, that I was there to, and he reciprocated, then, he started to loosen up and, and he became happy. And even though it took like 2 years, right? It happened, and that's the important part. Anyways, these analogies are getting out of control, I suppose, but people just live in that kind of nonverbal world, and to me, it's a precarious world because people can rescind that anytime they want. And because I had issues with reading, and I still do, right? It took me a very long time to build up my use of the language, right? And that's really what I have to rely on, is on the language. So if I tell you I like you or whatever, right? That's what I mean. I mean, I'm not, whatever. So those are kinds of things that my condition imparts to the world, right? And there may be limitations, okay, with respect to how most people communicate, but I don't think it's a deficit with respect to a personality, right? I'm not that deep into it. I mean, I get into my head all the time, but my situation is a mild situation, but it is what it is, right? And then, so that's part of it. So anyways, I felt that I had to say a few things like that because I'm putting these videos out, and I have to, because I'm encountering all of this, all of these engagements that I really don't want to have with these people. Strangers in the street. I mean, even if I ultimately get forced into shelter situation, I mean, that's not a choice that I want to make. But if I can't resolve this matter favorably to me at some point, you know, that's a possibility, and I'll just have to deal with it like I did before. It's not where I want to be, you know. But like I said, facing that situation would not force me to get into a personal relationship with someone. Just, to me, that's using a person, right? This is where I get into conflicts. So, you know, I mean, the last person that I was communicating with, that I was straight up with, I mean, that was probably my last best position at this point. I mean, I don't know. I don't have a crystal ball, but I'm doing what I could do. I'm doing the best I can do, and someday if somebody watches these videos from start to finish to see this little piece of journey, you know, hopefully someday I can get a little bit of, get back to normalcy here, and I got some stories. I got some stories I can't tell, and I got some stories I can't tell. Okay? But I got a lot of stories. I don't even like calling them stories, because they're true. All of them. Anyways, till next time, think free and be free.